another episode of Fistful of Collars, and it is a really big episode this week. We have got so much to talk about because this is the 2019 IBJJF World Championships mega preview show.
Ooh, mega preview, mega preview.
Here we go. Let's do it.
It's World Week. 1 week from today. It's Thursday today, and Thursday next week. We've been confirmed the exact start date, right? Just found out. Thursday next week, Worlds. How excited are you guys?
Man, 4 days of the biggest and most important jiu-jitsu event of the year coming up. Cannot wait to watch all that stuff.
Absolutely. Been leading to it for a little while now, it feels like. Of course, we just got back from the road to Worlds. We've been leading up, did the podcast last time, and we've just been looking forward to Worlds since the beginning of the year, it feels like, basically, right? Yeah. And so it's finally here. It's finally gonna pay off. And looking at these divisions, looking at what's gonna go down this next weekend, all signs point to this is gonna be a huge tournament, like you said, and maybe one of the biggest, most exciting Worlds we've ever seen, just based on what we're seeing alone, I think.
That was the question I was going to ask. Like, looking at the list of entrants, right? Because we now know who signed up and exactly what division. It's all fallen exactly, where it needs to be. The brackets come out on Monday next week, and we'll really be able to get into those match by match paths to the final that we see. But knowing who signed up for Worlds this year, do we think that this could potentially be one of the best Worlds ever?
I think 100%. It's got to be the cash, baby. Everyone's coming back for the money.
Cash prize, first time ever.
Exactly. And I think it's a great change.
You want to explain that real quick? Because I feel like that's kind of gotten swept under the rug a little bit.
Yeah, good point. A lot of people seem to not realize that IBJJF have actually started giving cash prizes for the major tournaments now.
So I believe the breakdown goes as such. For both men and women's absolute, it's a flat 10,000 cash prize for the champion of that.
Not bad.
Pretty nice. And then there's a
Take it.
sliding scale for based on number of participants in both men and women's divisions to determine exactly how much cash is awarded to the champion. I believe the top available amount is $7,000 for over how many participants?
33
over
people.
33 people. So no one's hit that.
No, basically we took a look at the number of people who are signed up in each division. And as you said, depending on how many people there are in the brackets, that's how much money the winner gets paid. And I think that's kind of cool, right? Because, a smaller division, the guy maybe only has 2-3 fights to win gold, whereas somebody who has to wade through a division of 5-6 matches, kind of makes sense to give them a little bit extra for their efforts, So,
so $4,000 to $7,000 for your weight class, and then $10,000 for the open class. So potentially, it's a double gold winner in the past, like a Buchecha or something like that could
But it is kind of traditionally a little bit hard to find elite ultra heavyweights to sign up, and especially I think a lot of
knowing
people
you're going to face
may be
Buchecha.
put off by that fact. Exactly. Yeah, it's a tough challenge.
But getting back to your original question, there, is this the most exciting Worlds? I definitely agree with Chase there that the money on the line, I think, is going to make things a little bit more exciting this time around. This is the first World Championships, like we said, with that type of money online. It'll be curious to see how it does affect the jiu-jitsu,
Maybe they fight a little bit harder for that.
Yeah, who knows? I think it could go a lot of ways, right? But it could be very interesting to see how that really does affect how these guys go out there and whatnot. But I think, man, there's just, I don't know if it's because we've been doing this for so long, it feels like now, but it just feels like there's so many great storylines going into this World Championships. There's just so many really, really great storylines. We followed a couple of them out on the road to Worlds. For me, what really pops out at me, I think, is we've been talking a little bit about this the whole year in this kind of changing of the guard type of moment in jiu-jitsu.
It's a lot of fresh blood right now, right?
A lot of these new guys, a lot of new guys from last year are coming too. So it's going to be interesting to see if the veteran guys like a Leandro, who else, like a Lepre, some of these older veteran guys, if they're still able to beat back these new hungry up and comers, because every year it seems like we just get more and more and more hungry up and coming young black belts ready to take out the long reigning champions at these weight classes.
I'm going to mention a couple of these young black belts that we've been discussing, because we a little while ago we sat down and we kind of mapped out the big storylines going into Worlds, and we covered a lot of that on the Road to World tour, which we'll discuss in a bit, and a bunch of other content over the last couple of weeks. But one thing that we really, I think it was possibly even the first thing that we put up on the whiteboard when we were talking about Worlds, was the first year black belts that will be competing this year at Worlds. Guys who last year they weren't even competing as black belt. They were still brown belts. Just going to throw some names at you. Kynan Duarte, Levi Jones-Leary, Fionn Davis, Gabriel Souza, Mateus Gabriel, Maisa Bastos. There's like 6 really, really solid names that we can actually expect to shake things up at Worlds, and this is their first year competing as a black belt.
All less than 12 months at black belt, I believe, right? So that's just crazy.
It's insane that they're almost favorites in their divisions. Maisa, I'd say, is a very strong contender for top of the podium, and Kynan is the same. So it is incredible that they're so dominant and successful at the elite level their first year. So
I mean, we already saw Levi had an incredible year, winning Europeans, winning Pans, but then there was that little blip, shall we say? There was the record scratch moment where it was like, that wasn't in the plan. Boom, gets submitted at the Abu Dhabi World Pro.
Yeah, as we know, anything can happen in these jiu-jitsu matches sometimes. That's what makes it so exciting. So you see a guy who's been as dominant as Levi have a little slip up like that. I think those losses probably in the long run are good for these guys.
Well, Chase, he actually mentioned something to you, and this is almost a repeat of what happened last year, right?
Yeah, in fact, it's the exact same thing. The only loss Levi suffered in 2018 as a brown belt was at World Pro, I believe, in the final to Leo Laura. Took second place there, and he said it really fired him up for Worlds. He went out.
He last year he did the same thing. He won Euros, won Pans, and lost at World Pro.
Correct.
And then won Worlds.
And then came back to win Worlds.
And he said it was extremely motivating. It relit the fire under his ass and got him extra focused in his camp. And he said the same. He expected the same. But that was right after the submission loss. Actually, he was very, very composed. Very just introspective. Maybe he was ready. He accepted the loss. He had already moved on by the time that I saw him, just 40 minutes later. And he was ready for Worlds. That was always the goal, is to be a black belt world champion.
So we could see him come back and do that.
I mean, I expect a very strong performance. I'm really hoping he runs into Lucas Lepre again. It's one of the biggest matches of the year of 2019.
Certainly one of the most talked about.
Exactly. And, people are saying Lucas was a little bit tired from doing the absolute, which, you got to hand it to him. He beat like 300-pound guys before he had to run into Levi. So
Lucas is not doing the absolute this year, right?
Yeah. He wants that sixth world title on the line there for Lucas. So
losing a powerful motivator, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Both those guys, probably have a little bit of heat for one another. So I'm excited for that one.
Very interesting. What do you think about Kynan then, Reed? Because Kynan is, we've talked about it non-stop over the last year because the guy has looked incredible, right? He's won so much. To list it right now would probably take forever. But he's going to have a very, very tough challenge ahead of him, right? Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. This will be the toughest tournament I think he's competed in,
He signed up at heavyweight, correct?
At heavyweight, with guys like Leandro Lowe, who we know is going to be very hungry this year. Keenan, his old teammate, who he's competed against in competition before and lost to in a no-gi event. I think it'll be a very, Adam Wardzinski also in heavyweight as well. He's kind of had Adam's number, but still kind of a close match. You can't say good things about Kynan. He's just come onto the scene and just, I think, blown everybody away. We've all been so impressed with what he's been able to do, at black belt. And we went to Atos for Road to Worlds and got to see him training. He just had gotten back from Brazil, and man, the way the guys talk about him over there, they just really gloat about him. And I think he is such a good representative for jiu-jitsu. He seems like he's just like really happy to be doing what he loves, and I like kind of that. I think I think he's a lot of fun to watch too. He's got really dynamic jiu-jitsu. He's got a great guillotine.
He's so consistent as well, right?
Yeah.
It's really unusual to see him taken out of his element, to be put in a bad position, but that did happen recently at the Brazilian Nationals. That
Right.
was not a great tournament for him. And to be honest, that's if anything, the worst performance that we've seen from Kynan in a very long time, because he has looked fantastic. And he was there in the Abu Dhabi at the World Pro, took gold, submitted Adam Wardzinski in the final, became champion. Incredible. But then we have talked about this, that he's kept up a really high pace when it comes to the competition, right? He's been traveling non-stop, competing literally every weekend.
Levi as well,
Sure.
And
Very
I did a little interview with Kynan on the that's on the site and talked to him about his Brasileiros performance. And I was
So
like,
explain what happened at Brasileiros.
well, he lost.
But not even in a good way, right? It was not great.
Yeah, I know he fought Nicholas Marigali, right, in the was that the absolute division though?
Absolute,
That
got
was the
submitted.
Got submitted in the absolute division, and then he lost in the final of his weight class to help me out here.
Trator, Vinicius Ferreira.
Vinicius
of
Ferreira
Alliance.
from Alliance. Yeah, who's great too. So yeah, he did have two disappointing losses. I talked to him a little bit about it, and I was just so impressed with like his maturity about it. He wasn't letting those losses weigh him down. He felt like that he had been competing a lot, just like Levi has, and that can definitely take a toll on you going from Portugal to Abu Dhabi to the west coast of the United States to back down to Brazil. You miss training sessions doing that.
Absolutely.
You miss training sessions. You're not able to get consistent work. So I think he didn't make any excuses, but I think it's good. I think it was good for him, and he looked like he came back, and he was very motivated. And they all know what the goal is, right? The goal is worlds. The goal
100%.
is worlds. It's great to win Euros. It's great confidence to win Pans, but the goal, make no mistake here, for all of these guys, is to win worlds.
I mean, Kynan did bounce back from the Brazilian Nationals pretty quick, because he had that super fight with Tanner Rice in the main event, fight to win. And I think that was like 2 weeks after the Brazilian Nationals, right? I want to say 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And he came out and he looked phenomenal. He hit this amazing technique against Tanner that I really need to watch it again to see exactly how he did it. But he pulled guard like into an instantaneous sweep that put him in mount within the first 10 seconds of the match.
Those are
Can't
the
do better
best.
than that. Yeah.
Those are
Wow,
the best, huh?
that looked good, So, I mean, I think Kynan, it's interesting to hear how he managed to just delete that Brazilian
I
Nationals.
think when you compete
right?
that much, you just keep moving, keep
You
on
got it.
trucking.
But
And
that heavyweight division is so crazy because
stacked.
like I said, Leandro is gunning for his world title. Keenan is gunning for his first world title that somebody we got to hang out with quite a bit.
I mean, yeah, we got to talk about Keenan, because I think we were all a little surprised to see Keenan enter in this weight class. Leandro has had his number over the last couple years.
Yeah.
And super heavy, Keenan has said in the interviews that he does well with bigger guys. That he thinks that maybe them being a little lankier, a little bigger and slower plays into his strengths. So for him to go and challenge himself against Leandro, against guys like Kynan, Patrick Gaudio, who had a big issue with last year in that match, that's an insane division. I think it's my favorite of Worlds, and I cannot wait to see who climbs to the top of that one.
Speaking of your interviews there and the time that you guys spent with Keenan on the road to Worlds, I think the one thing that really, really stood out for me was when he was discussing the Patrick Gaudio match from last year's Worlds. By far, the most talked about match from that event. It was a semi-final match, right? And it just divided opinion. Like, did Keenan deserve to win, or was the decision correct? And Patrick Gaudio taking the split decision win. Just people were totally up in arms about the result. But it is what it is, and Keenan was mad about it for a long time, right? Really, really mad. But he seems to have had enough time to reflect on it. And he said that he seems to have really accepted the fact that he let that victory just slip through his fingers. And I think that was a very mature, very considered kind of attitude towards that. It took a while for him to swallow it. It was a bitter pill, but he did. But knowing how that performance went last year, he was on Gaudio's back. He was completely locked in there and stuff. He was in really, really good control up until that point. So with that, and knowing the list of guys in the heavyweight division, who do we see as a legitimate, challenge to Keenan besides Leandro? Is there anybody that stands out in that division you think that he's going to have trouble with? Because I'm looking, and I see a bunch of guys that Keenan historically has done very, very well against.
I mean, you make a good point, but I think a lot of these matches are tough, and they compound one another. You know, if he has a tough match with Kynan, then he has to face Adam Warzinski. You know, that's going to wear a guy down. So that's what I love about this division. It's pretty big. You know, there's 18 guys in it. And
I'll be honest, you know, like, I'm going to put it out there right now. I see Keenan in the final.
Okay.
Absolutely see Keenan in the final. And I think that this is, even with all the stuff that's gone on with his team, even everything that's gone on with him having to, you know, rustle up this training by bouncing around gym to gym, going full Ronin, I think this could be that Keenan does it. I think we could see Keenan win his first IBJJF World Championship gold medal at heavyweight, because I'm looking at the list and I honestly don't see anybody stopping him. I see him beating Kynan. I see him beating Adam Wodzinski. I see him beating Jackson Souza, Patrick Gaudio. I see him beating Tim Spriggs. And I'm going to go out and
some bold claims here.
I see him beating Leandro Lo this year.
Okay.
I think that he's fixed everything that he knows that didn't work in the past, and I think that he knows what he needs to do to beat Leandro.
I think that, you know, obviously, I think we've all thought for many years that Keenan is definitely capable of winning a world championship, and that was something that Homolo said too, that he thinks that he deserves to win a world championship, because he has been at the top of the game for a little while now, it feels like, and I think, you know, we all think that he is capable of winning. And so I was surprised to hear him, be so candid about the Worlds last year, because I knew how sort of livid that he was. But I think that's something that really came through in this trip and hanging out with him a couple days, is that he's really genuinely like rekindled his fire for jiu-jitsu, I think. And that came across very clear to me. I don't know if you can speak to that too, Chase, but
he does seem to be extra motivated.
It definitely, it seems like he's really like fallen in love with jiu-jitsu all over again, you know, and that's something that obviously we've all gone through. We've all fallen in love with jiu-jitsu, and it seemed like maybe he kind of fell out of love in a little bit. You know, sometimes, you know, when you do this stuff for so long, it could feel like a job.
Yeah,
maybe.
It becomes work.
But it's like they say, a change is as good as a rest. And, you know, I think Keenan, he'd been at Atos for a long time. It's evident that he wasn't happy there. And this opportunity now to do what he wants to do could be the catalyst for him going out there and putting together the best performance that he's ever had.
What a story it would be, you know.
He'll need it.
What a story it would be if Keenan was able to capture this one. It'd be crazy.
Absolutely. Another American that I'm super excited to watch is, of course, Mikey Musumeci. And to me, the big story is he's made the jump up from originally signing up at roosterweight to light feather, which means he's going to have to face both Miaos, because Paulo Miao and Joao Miao, almost certainly.
But to be honest, though, I mean, it was a bit of a shock we even saw Mikey at Rooster in the first place.
True,
right?
it was going to be a hard cut.
He's won light featherweight 2 years in a row.
He's the reigning
right?
champ. Yeah.
He's the only American to win Worlds 2 times, and to him to drop to Roosterweight, we were all like, "Ooh, is he even going to stay there? Is he going to go back up?" And lo and behold, he did. Doesn't make it any easier, though, right?
Absolutely not. And, you know, it's a deep division, to be sure. There's a lot of really tough guys, including another first-year black belt, Gabriel Souza, who won World Pro and a bunch of other events, beating Joao Miao in the process. So it's a lot of good matches there. 21 guys, which is a pretty big division for light feather. But, yeah, given the way that the IBJJF seeds, teammates, opposite sides of the brackets with Joao and Paulo, he's going to have to beat both, which, man, what an accomplishment that would be. He's never faced Paulo. So...
Yeah,
that to me is a really, really interesting division. A lot of tough guys. Pablo Montevani is in there, Yuta Shimada, Thiago George. I mean, the list goes on. So,
we got to hang out with Mikey for a couple days as well, out in CTA with Kaio. And man, what impresses me most about Mikey is just like his focus. You know, it feels like he really, really does zero in. You know, puts the blinders on and really just like dials into the World Championships. You know, and man, he gets ready.
He hasn't competed at anything else since, right?
Since Worlds.
Since Worlds last year.
There was a super fight I think that he had after Worlds.
Did he do any ACB maybe?
I think they were already wrapped up by then. But yeah, that was the only other stuff that he had done for a while. So
what I liked watching with
that singular focus.
Well, he was fierce in training. Like Mikey's so chill and laid back and friendly. Even at Worlds, he's kind of smiling and waving at people and stuff. In the training, man, he had like a war face on and was going after people.
That always impresses me. Like, he's one of the most unassuming jiu-jitsu guys out there. But make no mistake, like, Mikey Musumeci is a winner. Mikey Musumeci goes after it, you know? So, like, that's pretty sick. I'm going to try to commandeer this conversation real quick, because we were talking about Keenan. We talked a little bit about Kaio. And one of the things that Keenan was talking about that he liked so much was being this Ronin and being this not affiliated to a team. And I just wanted to play this clip real quick because I feel like we'd have something to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is Kosuke Tera when we went to his gym a little later, kind of offering a little bit of a rebuttal to Keenan. So let's see what he has to say. Let's see if we can play some audio on this one.
We go through the training. I'm gonna talk about something here very important to me. Keenan and a lot of people don't believe that it's important to be a part of a team. And it may be true that you can succeed without one. But being a part of not a team, but the right team, a lot of times makes it easier and more enjoyable. There's the adrenaline, the nervousness, and there are always good days and bad days. Sometimes you're in a situation where you don't perform as well as you wanted, whether it's in competition or even in training. You need the right people, the right people around you, the right person to be giving you that confidence that you need to remind you that you're on track. Jiu-jitsu is just like a good meal. It's much better when you share it with a friend. I believe you guys, you spend so much time with me every single day. So I believe you guys are my friend. I believe I'm your friend. And a real friend, a true friend, tell you is always honest. Because the true goal is not to be champions, but to be successful in our lives. So with that said, guys, let's help each other today, train really hard, and make sure that we're pushing each other because we're a real team, all right? We're gonna get some water, then I'm gonna explain the training of today. Let's go.
So that was Kyle talking a little bit about the team. I'm not sure if you guys saw that. Keenan talked a little bit about it as well. But man, I don't know. Obviously Kyle has a different take. Keenan's idea, just to sum up, not to put words in his mouth, but I believe he felt like that teams weren't as important to him. And this is kind of the opposite side of the coin.
I gotta say, that was quite a stirring speech from Kyle.
Yeah,
that was really, really cool. There was it's a heartfelt message, and I think it's one that a lot of people can really identify with because it's the classic thing. They say that jiu-jitsu is an individual sport, but you can't do it by yourself. You have to have the support of a team to get there.
It's a great line right where he says jiu-jitsu is like a good meal. It's better when you share it. It's a great line.
Is it? No, I agree completely.
Chase doesn't share food.
It's all mine.
I eat alone.
Yeah. I do.
No, that's fantastic. That's a fantastic speech there from Kyle, and I think it just goes to show that Keenan isn't necessarily right or wrong, but what's right for him is not necessarily right for another, and vice versa, right? And I think that he came out with some very, very interesting points which interview you want to pick because they're all interesting, but you did multiple interviews with Keenan and he came out with some very, very interesting points. But I know that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, totally agree. And then other people are like the other end of the spectrum and they're like, nah, man, works for you, but for me, it's got to be something else. So no, it's a very individual thing, right?
Yeah, I think people need different things in different times of their careers as well. Maybe right now is a perfect time for Keenan to go on this journey and be a Ronin and just explore new ideas, train with new people. But I think a foundation athlete, someone that's blue and purple belt, they need like a core group of people around them, honing their skills, coaching them up with strategy, things like that, and just being at home. I feel like that's such an important thing about being on a team is feeling like you're surrounded by like-minded people that support you and have the same goals. And it's a lot of strength involved in that. Like it supports you. And I feel like if you're on your own, you have to be so mentally tough and willing to take on the journey yourself. That's much more difficult.
Speaking of the team thing, what happens when Keenan faces off with somebody from Atos?
Spicy.
Well, he does that quite a bit, right? Even when he was on Atos.
When he was on Atos, it's true. He never seemed to have a problem going against his teammates, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a lot of bad blood. I think it's been refreshing to see that both Keenan and Andre have not really thrown any mud at one another. They both just say, hey, time to move on for both of us. And, I think there'll be a little bit of some undertones there, but really I think it'll be professional. Keenan's been around a long time and he wants to win.
There are 3 guys from Atos signed up in his division. There's Dominic Bell, Kainan Duarte, and Vitor Toledo as well. So yeah, it's a tough one, right? You have to go up against somebody that you used to maybe train with every day. You know the game inside out, and it's gonna be interesting to see with Keenan. I'm sure that psychologically it's not going to affect him. Technically, if anything, he'd probably have the edge over anybody because he'd know their game as well as they know his, and yet. I think Keenan's game is so intricate, and he has such a such a well-developed system of attacks and stuff that he seems to come out with something new all the time. Maybe he has something that he hasn't even showed those teammates, So, be interesting to see. But moving on, there's just so much to talk about.
Really, every division. Right? I feel like every division has a great storyline. From Kyle moving into Rooster, from the Mikey versus Meows and Light Feather. From who's gonna win featherweight. Like that's such a toss-up division. I feel like, in my opinion, lightweight. You got Hanato Kanuto, Levi, and Lepri. Middle. Has got the returning Gracie Baja, Wonder Boys, plus Tommy Langacker, Isaac in there as well. Like, I think just, man.
Felipe Pena moving down to medium heavy.
A great
crazy
story.
Yeah.
Man, something
and
that
then Joao versus Buchecha in ultra heavy, Marigali at super heavy. Like, literally every one of these divisions is full of storylines.
Well, something that you mentioned when we were drawing these storylines out is that you've got your eye on last year's silver medalists in particular, right? There are a few that you highlighted as you think that they could do it this year, right?
Well, look, I think like a second place is like a good indication for first place, kind of like in general, right? Like,
there is that. Yeah.
I think that there was a lot of new guys last year, like Hanato Kanuto, who lost to Lepri in the finals, Tommy Langacker, who lost to Isaac in the finals, and Joao, who lost in the finals there. So yeah, those are three just silver medalists right there, who I think are going to be even hungrier this time. And then you got guys like who lost at Pans, right? Hanato lost at Pans, Jameel Hill lost at Pans. Levi won, but Levi lost. So I just think that these losses are big motivators,
Fuel for the fire. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you're 100%.
Adam Wardzinski, another guy who I think is going to do well because he's a kind of a perpetual silver medal guy. So I think those, you pile those up enough and gold's right there.
It's good motivation to raise your game, absolutely. I think you're right. I think there's a lot of hungry guys that we just can't count out because that motivation, that desire to become a world champion is such a powerful thing. And everybody knows that the jiu-jitsu is right there. There are very few people you look at in the division and you think they don't deserve to be there, right? Especially in those loaded divisions, like you mentioned, like featherweight and middleweight. There's like a list of 6 guys who could become champion, and the difference between them is so small. It literally comes down to who wants it more on the day. And I think that was something that Joao Gabriel mentioned when we went up to see him in Dallas. He's like, he's been preparing 25 years for this moment. He's been in jiu-jitsu that long, and he's been in the World Championship final a bunch of times, and it's literally who wants it more when they step on the mat right there. And I think that's when we're going to see these guys rise to the challenge. But what about fire matchups, dream matchups? Is there anything that they're looking at the divisions? Are there any guys that we're particularly excited to see? Because we don't know what the brackets look like yet, but is there anybody that we would love to see face off?
Well, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I'm really excited to see Mikey Musumeci potentially versus Paulo Miao. They never face each other. Mikey's got such a storied rivalry with Joao. I think that would just be an incredible match. Plus, there will be a bit of a size difference. Paulo generally competes at featherweight.
He cuts a lot to get down to light feather.
So,
right?
Very interested to see how that plays out, and definitely will be a lot on the line there, as that could very well be the final.
And then you mentioned Lepri versus Levi rematch too.
Yep, of course. That's another great match I'm dying to see. I think both guys will have some adjustments they want to make to their game, and just anyone Lucas faces in general, it's always a treat because he's only out there once or twice a year. We were lucky to see him at Europeans, to be honest. So,
true. Yeah.
Looking forward to Lucas.
How about you, Reed? Anything?
I always think that Nicholas Marigali is just absolute must-see TV. I think I've heard that he's wants to get the absolute division title. So that's something that I'm going to be paying close attention to.
He didn't do too bad last year either,
He
man.
didn't do too bad, man.
Semi-final against Buchecha. That's pretty.
And it was a great
insane.
match
That's
too.
pretty
It
good.
was,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a great match. So I mean, Buchecha versus Marigali is another one that I'd really like to see. I'm always down for another Marigali low. But definitely I'll be paying attention to Marigali because that guy is just electric on the mats. Love watching him.
Really is. Featherweight for me has got some amazing potential matchups happening. I mean, I'd love to see Mateus Gabriel and Jamil Hill roll that back. It was the final from Pans. It was a really, really intense match that came down to Jamil was literally running after Mateus Gabriel in the last 20 seconds, doing his best to try and score. And, he came off the mat at the end and he felt really, really hard done by, that he hadn't been awarded points for a late takedown and stuff. And, I think that
that was a crazy match.
It was a crazy match.
Super sick match.
So
the last minute was just boom, 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 boom. It was points. It was crazy.
I think that's incredible motivation for Jamil to come out this year, and obviously he's going to look for the repeat. He champion last year, but coming so close at Pans and having a result like that again, just slip through your fingers. I think he's going to come out looking super fired up. So I'm excited for that. But this a guy that we've been watching just all year, and he's looked phenomenal, and that's Isaac Duerdeline. He's had some great performances. He hit the finals there at Europeans. He was in the final Abu Dhabi World Pro. He won Brazilian Nationals a couple of weeks ago. And that is, without any exaggeration, one of the toughest tournaments in the world to win. And he looked phenomenal. He has just looked more and more focused, more and more fired up at every single tournament that he's entered. He's going back after each one. He's fixing those mistakes. He's coming out and he's doing great.
Yeah, Isaac definitely worth a mention because he's been battling for a few years, and he's been just having an incredible breakout year for him. So definitely worth a mention.
I did a really great interview with him after World Pro. He was so disappointed that he lost. It was a kind of a controversial call against Paulo Miyao there in the final. And, I asked him because he had lost to Paulo a few times this year and also years prior. I'm like, what do you do with that? How do you handle an opponent like that you're going to run into, that you're right there with? You're losing by advantages. You're losing by 2 points. What do you change about your game? How do you get the win? He says, man, I just watch the tape. I watch it with friends. I do positional sparring. And to me, that was a great answer. It was very detailed, and it wasn't just I get fired up and want to beat him. I want to win more. He was very.
He's got a system for fixing that stuff.
Yeah, and these
right?
positions that they're getting into, these are very intricate,
intricate.
Deep positions that you got to study.
And he went out and did it. He went out and did it at Brazilian Nationals. A week later, he got the win. So I was super happy for him, just because to see someone persevere like that is a motivational story. But man,
the match that I'm looking forward to though, because I didn't get to it though, because Isaac would.
Sorry, I was just excited.
We're all focused on that, but I would love to see him go up against Marcio Andre, because Marcio Andre is one of those guys that he's looked so great, but it's been an up and down couple of years for him. He had some big life changes. He moved from Abu Dhabi to the States. He had his first child. So there's a lot been going on, and we've seen some fantastic performances from him. We've seen some disappointing performances that he was carrying a knee injury going into the No Gi Worlds final where he lost, and then the Kasai Super Series. So coming back now, and I believe the last time that him and Isaac actually faced off was Europeans 2016.
Oh, wow.
So that's a while ago, man. 3.5 years later, I'd love to see those guys meet up and see what can happen.
Also, some of these women's divisions are extremely deep. I want to talk about the roosterweight division. We have a 4-time in a row world champion in Coco Yuasa, but there's some fresh new blood that we've been talking about, like Maisa Bastos and Julianne Wiggers, that could give her a real run for the money there.
So hang on, Rikako has won Worlds 4 years in a row.
Insane. We only see her at Worlds. I don't know if she does anything locally in Japan or something that keeps her.
Not much. She did just win ADCC trials.
True.
Cool. She did ADCC in 2015. She went to Brazil and competed in Sao Paulo there, so she's an ADCC vet. But apart from Quintet and ADCC trials, you're right. We
just shows up and wins Worlds every year in a row.
Comes in rec shop.
So I'm definitely excited that it has some new opponents for her and to really test her, because Maisa has been on fire all year long.
Oh, that's
basically
a great match.
won everything.
Maisa versus Rikako.
Oh yeah.
there are also no less than 3 returning world champions in the light featherweight division. That's 3 world champions out of a total of 8 opponents. So we have Talita Alencar, Jezri Matuda, and Amanda Nogueira, all in the same division. All 3 of those women know each other very well, and would love to come out on top of that division because it's very spicy. So I mean, man, and the list goes on. Bia Mosqueda, I believe, is going for her 9th world title. Can you imagine that? 9 world titles, and she's like 26 years old, 27 years old, or something.
Yeah.
Insane.
With the absence,
Queen Bia. Let's just call her Queen Bia, right?
Basically, yeah.
And then with Tayani out, if you're not hip to that news, Tayani's out, and then
Gabby's not signed up
and then we
either.
don't see any Gabby Garcia in there. So it really, it feels like the absolute open class is kind of wide open.
Nah, I don't see it wide open.
Or
man. I don't see it wide open.
Natchielli
it is now the
finally gets the
time
win.
for
Absolutely.
Natchielli to reign on top.
Silver medal 2 years in a row in the absolute division there. She took silver to Gabby Garcia at Pans as well in the
now
absolute
golds
division.
though, right? Now golds.
No, now gold. Well, one of them, yeah.
One of them?
Last year's silver medal in the
True.
absolute division was adjusted after Tayani's doping violation. So technically, she is now an absolute gold medalist. But I think to lose in the final and be given the gold medal is obviously not something that she wants, regardless of how that happened, right? So she's going to want to go out this year and take that gold medal for herself. And
Yeah.
I
Won't
see
be easy
her.
though. There's also some really tough girls in the super heavyweight division. Claudia Doval, Jessica Flowers, that will also be vying, of course, for absolute gold.
Bia, Louisa, they could get in the absolute division too. And
100%. We saw Louisa and Natchielli in the final at Europeans as well in the absolute division.
That's right.
And they're different teams now. Obviously, Louisa is with Atos, and Natchielli represents Rodrigo Pinheiro. But for the longest time, they were kind of floating around, training together, a brotherhood and unity. Cicero Costa, so they know each other very, very well. But I think again, it's that thing. It's business, right? You put friendships to one side. And
worlds, baby.
it is worlds.
And
exactly.
there's money on the line.
Exactly.
$10,000.
$10,000.
Yeah,
$10,000.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
like
you
you that much, Reed.
Come on.
What about the non-Brazilians? There are quite a few non-Brazilians who stand out this year as well.
You have to
right?
wonder if Buchecha would have kind of the Leandro Buchecha situation would have happened last year.
If there had been the money?
with this money on
They
the
would
line.
definitely go halvesies.
Yeah.
Those guys are boys.
They're
for sure.
bros. They're bros.
Okay, sorry.
Well, we talked a lot about Isaac DeWiderlin
Yep.
for a non-Brazilian. I'm definitely
Mikey.
got my eyes on him. Mikey, Keenan,
Tommy.
Tommy Langacker is another really, really fun guy
It's
to
got to
watch.
be, with me though, the most promising non-Brazilian hopeful this year, of course, is absolutely Fionn Davis. Yeah, she's looking at the Grand Slam.
Crazy.
She's 1 gold medal away from doing the Grand Slam, and in her first year as a black belt as
Crazy.
well.
Incredible.
Crazy.
And Jamil's on my list of Americans to keep an eye on. Man, there's so many talented people from all over the world this year that there's so many. Yeah, it's
There
incredible.
are. I mean, we're not even have time today to talk about everything. Of course, this is the mega preview, and we'd love to go into detail about some more stuff, looking at things like the colored belts, because those you can't miss those divisions. I mean, like Thursday, Friday of the World Championships, don't skip those. Just don't even think about skipping those,
great jiu-jitsu.
because the black belt and brown belts go on Saturday, and then of course the black belt, the semifinals and finals all happen on Sunday, the final day. But Thursday, Friday is going to be so competitive, right? It's going to be absolute fire in the pyramid. I mean, just what can we expect?
And Saturday for brown belts as well. Those as well.
You
But-
can expect nonstop action going across 12, 16 mats. I think it's 12 mats.
12, yeah.
And every mat is just amazing. So if you've got a favorite athlete, go ahead and find him on BJJCompSystem.com. Look him up, follow him along, and you'll just sit on that mat and watch all the great matches all day long.
And we put out some rankings this week, right, Reed?
Yeah, absolutely. Took a stab at ranking who the best blue belts are, best purple belts, and best brown belts.
And how'd you do that?
Based on a lot of the results from this year, kind of the big ones, the World Pro, Europeans, Pans, a couple other little opens that a lot of guys had competed at. But tried to just see who's winning out there, right? Who's taking home these absolute titles? Who the blue belts who are doing all these tournaments? Because nowadays a lot of these blue belts are doing 5, 6, 7 tournaments. Before,
All over the world.
Yeah, all over the world before Worlds. So there's a great a great rapport of a lot of these guys that we have not only on our site but but just kind of all over the internet, right? So yeah, we took a stab at rank the top 10 blue belts. You can take a look at that.
And this is pound for pound, we should
Pound
say.
for pound, yeah.
Which
So
I
across
like.
all weight divisions.
I think that's a great idea because the pound for pound, it's one of those eternal debates, right? It's like who is really the best, and sometimes I think letting the statistics and the medals kind of decide that rather than just using head-to-head matches is key.
Yeah,
So
we're not quite at a place, I don't think, to rank each division at blue belt but we're getting there. We are getting there, I think.
we do have the black belt rankings that
Yeah.
people can go check on the site, and I mean it's also really important to mention that these rankings, that as we go into Worlds, they give us an indicator of what to expect.
Yeah, who to
But
watch.
there can be some huge changes to these as well after Worlds, right?
Yeah, who knows what'll happen? Worlds, like you said, is a different time. A lot of these guys, I think I remember we doing this last year, right? When we ranked Connor DeAngelis as number 1 and didn't put Roberto Jimenez on the purple belt rankings at all, and that all got
A little bit
messed
egg on
up.
our face there.
That all got messed up, but that's what happens,
That's why sports are fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and I think especially at blue belt, especially at purple belt, man, like so many of these guys are so close. They can beat each other on any given day, like submit each other on any given day. It seems like. So those are just, I totally agree. Those divisions are just so exciting. So
Love it. So you guys just got back into town like just a couple of days ago, right? Had a little bit of time here to chill out and take care of a few things before we head back out to California. But tell us about Road to Worlds.
Where to begin?
It looked awesome.
Road to Worlds is so fun, man. It's our third time doing the show, and every time I come back feeling so energized, not just to train, but also just with the sport and the community. It's really the time that Reed and I spend the most time out in the world of jiu-jitsu, not just like confined to the tournament space. And to see everyone training so hard and really gearing up for the biggest tournament of the year is just really inspiring.
we started in San Diego. Maybe we can just play this 99 clip. That was one of the first ones we went to. We can talk over some of these clips here and show a little bit of the footage that we got.
Oh, nice clip you chose there with the
from
sweep.
Road to
Is that you rolling? Oh, look at that. You were training in these places too.
Yeah.
I love it.
So this is the first, right? We started in San Diego. You want to tell them the
Yeah,
route?
and man, we were definitely flying by the seat of our pants a little bit.
Is that Sergio Rios right there?
That's right. We were at
Very
99
nice.
Jiu-Jitsu at Eduardo Telez's place. There's the Turtle Master there
Man
doing
himself,
some
yeah.
weird jiu-jitsu. He was so cool, man. He took us out to lunch, and we had a great time there visiting those guys, Igor Tanabe and
Oh,
Sergio
Igor in the
Rios.
black gi. Man, Igor is such a great competitor, right?
There's a really Brazilian vibe in that gym, and that's the fun thing when you visit all these different places. You kind of see different styles of teaching and training, and that place was super laid back. 99 was very cool.
Good training though. A lot
good
of
training,
movement.
Hard
tough
training. Yeah, guys, tough guys.
A lot of veteran black belts, I feel like. A lot of guys with a couple stripes on their belts hanging out. And, of course, Igor just in there mixing it up, too. As a brown belt.
You got to roll with Igor, right, Reed?
Yeah, we had a fun roll with Igor.
He didn't include that clip.
Starting-
Yeah.
What
I can
happened?
feel it in my head here. There. I got a nice roundhouse kick by the Fat Ninja, as they call him.
Yeah. The next stop on our trip there was over at Athens
hospital.
HQ. Yeah, after the hospital, after we determined Reed could
After a lie
continue.
down in a darkened room for a day or so. Yeah.
We could go ahead and play the clip from me of Renaldo Jr. It was on our second stop there, and one of the things I got to do on this trip was really profile up-and-coming athletes. And Ronaldo's definitely an established brown belt. It's a little bit rough to call him up-and-coming, but sometimes brown belts just don't get the love they deserve. And man, he is such a beast. You can see him taking it here to Josh Hinger, an established black belt, world-class
We
black
know how
belt.
good
World
Josh
champion.
is, right? Josh is incredible. But man, Ronaldo, looking at this training footage right here, this is kind of very similar to how it is when he competes because he's so explosive.
Yeah, he's an animal. I mean, you can just watch him here, just going after people, running into the walls. You
Even
know.
in slow motion, he's fast.
Yeah, exactly. He's a must-see TV for sure in the brown belt ranks. So
Oh,
keep
that was
an
a
eye on Ronaldo.
Dirty guard pass.
Yeah,
right
he's
there.
like he's just like so hard not to watch when we're there at Atos, right? Because he's just bouncing off the walls, going 110% with Josh, with Kynan, with Jonathan Gracie, with Liera. You know, like this dude is just bouncing back and forth the mats, all with some of the best black belts and brown belts in the world.
The word is that apparently he's like one of the toughest roles in the entire gym. Is that
He
right?
certainly
I don't
looks
doubt
like
it. He told me after I left, I'd love to train with you. I'm like, no, thank you. I like filming, dude. Filming is awesome. So, but yeah, it was so much fun, man. We could spend hours talking about each gym we went to.
Oh, for sure. Well,
And-
this is why people should go to the site and they should watch watch these vlogs, watch these videos, because there's literally hours of video footage from inside these rooms, right?
Yeah, we'd just love to say a big thank you to everyone we visited, man. They opened their doors to us, let us film all the training, because that's not an easy thing to do. Let someone else expose what you're doing in there, getting ready for Worlds. So
let's play this the ZR clip here maybe next, because that was another thing. Atos, very well established team, but ZR here kind of a brand new team as well. So we tried to really hit kind of all corners of California as much as we could.
So ZR team, we know that they were formed just a couple of years ago after the breakaway from Gracie Barra. But this particular location here in Arcadia, I believe, man, look at the size of the gym compared to some of those other places you went. It's kind of small, right?
It's almost the same size as the old Unity gym. And man, what a treat it is for people in that community to train there. They have no less than three world-class black belts teaching and training with them, right there in their own community with like nothing else really going on.
Who's that? They got Lucas Hosha, Diego Ramalho, and Gabriel Souza, right?
I mean, all guys super elite. They're all also different sizes. So, man, I highly recommend it to anyone that's like way east of LA. If you're looking for a jiu-jitsu gym, that's a spot for me.
Nice.
But nice. It's small mat space, but
good training.
Just like at Atos, they're throwing down, and it's good. It's elite training, like you said. You got those 3 high-level guys.
Like how dirty was that?
That was super dirty.
a couple other high-level purple belts and brown belts there as well. But
got to mention Gabriel Souza as well. 22 years old.
Another one of those first-year black belts that
exactly. And recently winning gold at the Abu Dhabi World Pro. And this year, we mentioned how he signed up a light feather. This year, he's had just running battles with some of the top guys in that division. Thiago George, Joao Miao. He's won some, lost some, but he's there neck and neck with some of the toughest light featherweights in the world. So, as far as the first year black belts go, he could be one to keep an eye on.
Pretty damn good year.
Absolutely.
Number 1 ranked IBJJF black belt.
Yeah.
So, not bad at all.
Very cool. Where else did you guys go? I mean,
from there we headed north. So we definitely made we got to talk about Homolo's though. I'm skipping over Homolo, but we went to Homolo's in Northridge. That's North LA, kind of in the valley, I guess. And of course, we ran into Keenan Cornelius there. Keenan is roaming around.
Man, I always love seeing the videos from inside Homolo's gym because he's such a charismatic guy. He has so much to offer the jiu-jitsu community.
Homolo's the best,
right? Not just as a professor, not just as a teacher, not just as an athlete, but just as a role model and a figurehead. He's such a cool guy.
And he's just smashing guys in there, man. Homolo still has it. He's a beast.
Yeah,
I know, man. For real, he really is.
How do you say he creates athletes, Reed? What would he tell you?
Yeah, he was like, dude, he's like, I just bring these guys in, they've never done jiu-jitsu before, and then I just smash them for 10 years, and then they're really good at jiu-jitsu afterwards. It's kind of...
Eventually, they give me some back.
Yeah. He's like, that's what I did. He's like, I just got Edwin, got, all these other guys, Zane, a couple other guys, and then I just kept smashing them until they could smash me. And then that's kind of...
It's simple.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Love it.
Yeah, it was some fun training in there. A lot of really tough guys. Felipe Trovo, Victor Silverio, really going after it.
Should mention as well that, it's called Road to Worlds, but you guys are literally road tripping it this time as well.
Yes.
So you drove up through California, and where did you head to next?
So we kind of skipped around the order a little bit, but from ZR team, which was after Homolo's, we went north up to Modesto, California, which is like a 4 or 5 hour drive, and visited Casino's gym, Aries BJJ.
You can play that Aries clip real quick.
Yeah, and that was another first visit for us. We had never really gotten to hang out with the Aries crew. Really, really fun time with those guys. Even Nate Mandelson drove up from Santa Cruz, just like a 3 hour drive.
Oh, the POV rolling was
that's
so
a really cool little trick.
Like video game stuff. Oh,
shout out to Italo who hooked me up with his chest.
Oh yeah,
mount.
made it all possible.
Yeah.
These guys were also just going after it full time.
Yeah, they are. Look at that.
Everywhere we went was just so tough. That's why Road to Worlds is super fun, because sometimes when we're filming on shoots, we go on after an event has occurred or something like that, and guys are kind of taking it easy or nursing some injuries or just whatever, maybe just hiding some things. But when we're on the Road to Worlds, these guys are not holding back. They are going as hard as they can. They are training as diligently as possible, and it shows, I think, in all the footage.
Yeah.
It's interesting as well because this is in Modesto, which is in Northern California, just about an hour and a bit outside of San Jose. But important to mention that Caixinho, who obviously is one of the head instructors of this gym, Oh, speaking of,
Oh, we got the shower scene.
we should talk about this
This
first.
is the prequel to the shower scene.
It's not Road to Worlds unless there's a shower scene, right?
It's true. The Unity thing blew up, and we really hoped we could get another one, and we did. So if you guys haven't watched the Aries vlog
I
yet,
cut it.
For the exclusive shower scene footage, you must go to FloGrappling.com and check it out.
it's worth a subscription just for that.
But man, that was just a part of such the experience of Road to Worlds. It's we're so lucky that we get to go to these gyms, gym after gym, and everybody, like Chase said, is so welcoming, man. And yeah, we tried. Chase got to train at
Kyle's and Homelos.
Kyle's and Homelos.
Yeah.
You guys dropped into AOJ as well. We shouldn't forget that, right?
That's true. Yeah, AOJ. There's so many.
I always love watching the training from inside AOJ because Guy Mendes.
We can play this Jessica Khan clip here. That's from AOJ.
Fantastic, because Guy is just an incredible coach, and I love the way he structures his sessions. It's so.
I mean, I was gonna say earlier when we were talking about early black belts and stuff, but I did a lot of interviews with Guy as well, and he's somebody that I really think has the pulse of the community. He's really he's got these blue belts, these purple belts, these juveniles that he's been making into savage killers, and so I think
she's going to be one of them. Jessica Khan, she's absolutely going to be one of them, right?
Yeah.
When she hits black belt, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, it's her first year as an adult competitor in the purple belt division, and she has won everything so far.
And it's the same for pretty much all his athletes, right? I mean, like Mateus Rodriguez, Tynan Dalpra, these guys. Imagine what it's going to be like when they hit black belt at 19, 20 years of age.
And if anybody, I think, is going to be prepared for it, it's going to be those guys. We see how these guys go into black belt and stuff, but that is what Guy and AOJ are doing, I feel like, is they are preparing these guys 100% for when they get to black belt. They're going to be so ready.
That is the goal, right? I mean, this is the part of the process. Jonathan Alves, brown belt, Tynan and Mateus still purples, right? But I mean, obviously the titles, obviously the medals are important, especially when it comes to things like the team race and the overall trophy for the best team of the tournament. It's very important to have those gold medals, but let's not lose sight of the fact that, like you said, the goal is black belt world championship.
And they are very aware of that, all of them, I think.
Already.
Exactly. Purple belts, blue belts, some of the juvenile blue belts as well. I think Guy has, created a really regimented system to create black belt world champions.
I mean, it really shows, actually, I think, in all the gyms. Guy especially, for sure, is eloquent, and he talks about it, but I think everyone has a plan. Kyle Tera is another guy that has a very systematic approach to developing his athletes and teachers. It was really cool, little anecdote there from Benji Silva. He's a brown belt over at Kyle's place. He's getting ready to maybe get his black belt. They actually had a test at Kyle Tera's. I didn't know that he did testing.
Wow.
And but Benji explained it as not only is it a way to sort of confirm that, yes, he actually knows a little jiu-jitsu, but he's thinking about having a school and doing his own thing, and Kyle wants to make sure that Benji knows Kyle's formula. And this is what this test does. And if he can pass this and do well in this, then he's ready to run a school. I thought, man, that's really cool. Kyle's not just preparing him as a competitor, but now he knows he has the blueprint to run a school, run an academy. So
at the level that Kyle demands,
which is extremely high level. So it's really, really cool to see all the ways these coaches and teams are taking care of their athletes as well.
That's great. Well, I mean, a big thank you to everybody who received us on the road to Worlds this year. Something that I think people are they get excited about, right? Everybody loves going inside these gyms. As the opportunity to see how these teams train. And if you want to go check those videos out, there are over 70 of these videos to watch on FloGrappling.com. Just hit the Road to Worlds tab in the top right of the site. And we actually had a few other gym visits mixed in there as well that weren't technically part of your Road to Worlds trip. But if you go to the IBJJF World Championships page, you'll be able to see that we also went to see Joao Gabriel Hocher in Dallas. We went to see the Unity crew in New York. We also went to see JT Torres training there as well in New York with Michael Liera Jr. and Dom Bell. And we have more videos coming from Inside Alliance, Mario Hayes with Nicholas Marigali and those guys down there in south of Brazil, and Marcelo Garcia's gym too. So
a lot of good stuff coming.
Trying to hit all corners of the world here, FloGrappling.
Well, I mean, there's just so much to talk about every year for Worlds, right? There really is. I mean, I wish that we could cover absolutely everything, and as we grow and as we get better, I really hope that we can do that. But it's such an exciting time. Well, guys, Well, there's not much else to talk about for now. We've just got to get our heads down and wait till the brackets come out on Monday, and then we can really get into what to expect. But don't forget that next weekend, Thursday, Friday, Worlds runs with colored belts. Saturday, Sunday, the brown and black belts go on Saturday, black belts only on Sunday. But not to forget that June 1st, we actually have another live event happening on FloGrappling.com, and that is GrappleFest 5. This is a no-gi submission-only event taking place in the UK. Not the first event that we've had on the site. You should be pretty familiar with them by now. And main event, very interesting, Craig Jones versus Mike Perez.
Ooh, I like that.
Right?
If you're not into the ghee stuff, those grips things, those lapel chokes, we got some heel hooks for you.
Guaranteed to see some heel hooks in this, because you got Craig Jones versus Mike Perez in the main event, and we got Lachlan Giles versus Ross Nichols in the co-main event. So that's actually really interesting, because Lachlan Giles just won the Asian ADCC trials, and Ross Nichols, a couple months back, he won the European trials, right?
Absolutely, and looked phenomenal out there. He's really good. So that's 4 ADCC qualified athletes there in the main and co-main events, and it's a stacked undercard as well. So yeah, if you like heel hooks and submission only no-gi stuff, that's the show for you next weekend.
And Perez holds a win over Craig at Kasai, so I know that Craig has been wanting that match for a while.
That Kasai Pro match was really cool. That he had to hit that dirty wrist lock, right?
Yeah. Perez got those sneaky wrist locks.
Didn't finish it though, but he did get the advantage point.
Yeah,
I think he also messed him up as well.
Yeah,
man.
it looked shitty for sure.
Yeah, prison rules. I love it. Awesome. Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. And as we said, a stacked undercard as well. There's also Frank Rosenthal from Henzo Gracie up against Jeremy Skinner of Absolute MMA, and a stacked undercard of some really good British and European talent as well.
Yeah,
to look forward to.
UK no-gi scene is pretty sick.
Blowing up.
Yeah.
Blowing up. But, man, guys, great to have us back in the studio for the first time in a while. Of course, next week we won't be here. We've got World Championships, which is pretty much the most awesome thing we can look forward to all year, apart from maybe ADCC.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll be out there though.
We will. And we should do this again after Worlds and talk about all the crazy stuff that no doubt happens in California next week, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Guys, don't forget, watch IBJJF 2019 World Championships live or on demand on FloGrappling a week from now. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks for another episode of Fistful of Collars. See you then.